How to focus without burnout. Train your brain for deep work. You check your email. 5 minutes later, you check it again. You switch to Slack. Back to your document. Phone notification. Email again. By lunch, you have been working for 4 hours but accomplished almost nothing. Here is what nobody tells you. Your attention is not broken. Your brain is not deficient. You are trapped in a system designed to fragment your focus every few minutes. This audiobook will teach you how to build sustained concentration without burning out. You will learn the 3 core systems that eliminate 80% of distraction. You will get a step-by-step method to train your brain for deep work. And you will walk away with a 7-day plan to start today. This is for anyone who feels mentally exhausted despite doing less real work than ever. This is for people drowning in meetings and emails who cannot find time to think. This is for you if you know you are capable of more but the environment will not let you access it. This is not for people who want hacks without changing behavior. This is not a quick fix. This requires intention. Later, I will give you the 2-minute version you can use today. But first, you need to understand why focus feels impossible right now. One more thing. No need to pause or take notes. There is a toolkit in the description with all the tools, a full breakdown of the framework, and a 7-day checklist. You can use it later. Just listen now. Let me show you what is actually happening to your brain. The problem and the real cause. Imagine this. You sit down to write a report. You open your laptop. Before you type a word, you check email. Someone asked a question. You reply. That reminds you to check the project status. You open Slack. 3 conversations need responses. You reply to all 3. 15 minutes gone. You have not written a single sentence. You return to the document. You write 2 paragraphs. Your phone buzzes. You glance at it. A text. You reply. You look back at the screen. You forgot what you were writing. You reread the last paragraph. You start again. Another notification. You check it. 20 more minutes gone. By the end of the day, you worked 8 hours. You feel exhausted. But you produced maybe 90 minutes of actual output. The rest was spent switching between tasks, recovering from interruptions, and managing the mental overhead of dozens of half-finished threads. This is not a personal failure. This is what happens when your work environment operates on a system I call push-based collaboration. In a push-based system, anyone can push work onto you at any time. Email, Slack, text, meeting invite. The work arrives, and you are expected to respond quickly. If you do not, things slow down. People get frustrated. So you stay accessible. You check your messages constantly. You attend every meeting. The problem is that each interruption does not just steal 5 minutes. It creates something called a context switch. When you shift your attention from writing to email, your brain does not instantly flip a switch. It takes 15 to 20 minutes for your neural networks to fully reconfigure. You have to inhibit the networks active during writing. You have to activate the networks needed for email. This is metabolically expensive. It drains energy. And it is invisible. So when you check email 6 times per hour, you never fully engage with anything. You spend your entire day in a state of partial attention. Researchers call this continuous partial attention. It feels like focus. But it is cognitive chaos. Here is the other problem. Most knowledge work has no clear metrics for productivity. In a factory, you count widgets. In a field, you count bushels. In an office, you count what? Hours worked? Emails sent? Meetings attended? None of these measure whether you produced valuable output. So organizations default to something called pseudo-productivity. Pseudo-productivity is the idea that visible activity equals useful effort. If people see you responding to emails, attending meetings, and staying busy, they assume you are productive. The more visible activity, the better. This was manageable before digital communication. If you wanted to show activity, you showed up at the office. You had some meetings. You did your work. But then we got email. We got Slack. We got smartphones. Now you can demonstrate activity at a very fine grain. You can send an email at 10 p.m. You can reply to Slack on Sunday. You can be visible all the time. And because pseudo-productivity rewards visibility, you feel pressure to stay visible. So you check email constantly. You respond immediately. You accept every meeting. And your actual productive capacity collapses. This is why you feel burned out. You are not doing too much deep work. You are doing almost no deep work. You are spending 8 hours per day demonstrating that you are working. And it is exhausting. The solution is not to work harder. The solution is to redesign how you manage your attention, your workload, and your time. That is what this audiobook will teach you. Let me show you the framework. The framework. The framework has 3 parts. I call it the Deep Work Operating System. It has 3 layers. Each layer solves a specific problem. Layer 1 is pull-based workload management. This controls what you work on and when. It stops the flood of incoming tasks from destroying your focus. Layer 2 is multiscale planning. This aligns your daily actions with your weekly and quarterly goals. It prevents you from drifting through your day reacting to whatever shows up. Layer 3 is the shutdown ritual. This creates a clear boundary between work and life. It stops work from colonizing your evening and your brain from ruminating at midnight. These 3 layers work together. Pull-based management reduces the volume of distractions. Multiscale planning ensures you spend your limited focus on what matters. The shutdown ritual protects your recovery time so you can come back tomorrow with energy. If you are driving or working out, just listen. The toolkit has the full steps. You do not need to memorize this. You need to understand the logic. Then you can implement it later. Let me walk you through each layer. Here is the problem with most to-do lists. They grow infinitely. Every time someone asks you to do something, it goes on the list. The list gets longer. You feel overwhelmed. You never finish. You just manage an ever-growing pile of obligations. Pull-based workload management solves this. Instead of letting people push tasks onto you whenever they want, you pull tasks into your active work queue only when you have capacity. Here is how it works. You split your to-do list into 2 sections. The top section is your active work queue. This contains 2 to 3 tasks you are actively working on right now. The bottom section is your waiting queue. This contains everything else. It is ordered by priority. When you finish a task in your active queue, you pull the next task from the waiting queue. Until then, tasks in the waiting queue stay there. You do not have meetings about them. You do not do emails about them. You just let them wait. This has 2 effects. First, it radically reduces administrative overhead. Every task you agree to comes with emails, meetings, and coordination. If you have 15 tasks in progress, you have 15 streams of overhead. If you have 3 tasks in progress, you have 3 streams of overhead. You finish those 3 tasks much faster because you are not drowning in coordination. Second, it makes your workload visible. If someone asks you to do something, you can show them the queue. You can say, I am working on these 3 things. There are 7 tasks ahead of yours. I will get to it when I get to it. This sets realistic expectations. It stops people from assuming you will drop everything to help them. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are a software developer. Your manager asks you to build a new feature. Normally, you would say yes and start working on it immediately. But you already have 4 other features in progress. So you are juggling 5 projects. Each project has its own meetings, questions, and updates. You spend more time managing the projects than building the features. With pull-based management, you say, I will add it to my queue. Right now I am working on these 3 features. Your feature is number 4. I will pull it into active work when I finish one of these 3. Your manager can see exactly where it sits. If it is urgent, they can reprioritize the queue. But they cannot just push it onto your plate and expect instant results. This is a huge psychological shift. You are not refusing work. You are managing capacity. And you are doing it visibly. Here is how to implement it. Tool 1. The active queue. What it is. A list with 2 sections. Active work. Waiting work. Active work contains 2 to 3 tasks. Waiting work contains everything else, ordered by priority. When to use it. Every time someone asks you to do something. How it works. When a new task arrives, add it to the waiting queue. Do not add it to active work unless you have an open slot. When you finish a task in active work, pull the next task from waiting work. Example. You are a marketing manager. Your boss asks you to create a campaign brief. You check your active queue. It has 3 tasks. Campaign brief goes into the waiting queue at position 4. You tell your boss, I will get to it after I finish one of these 3. It should be active by Friday. 7-day experiment. Set up your active queue today. Limit it to 3 tasks. Every time someone asks for something, add it to the waiting queue. Do not start new work until you finish current work. Track how much faster you finish tasks. Common failure mode. You let people pressure you into pulling tasks early. Fix. Show them the queue. Ask them which task they want you to deprioritize to make room. Tool 2. The shared queue. What it is. A visible document that shows your active and waiting queues to your team. When to use it. When you work with a team that frequently assigns you tasks. How it works. Create a shared document or board. Use a tool like Trello, Notion, or even a Google document. List your active tasks at the top. List waiting tasks below. Anyone can see what you are working on and where their request sits in the queue. Example. You are a designer. You create a Trello board with 2 columns. Actively working. Waiting to start. Your team can add requests to waiting to start. They can see your active tasks. When someone asks about their request, you point them to the board. They see you are working on 3 other designs. They stop bothering you with follow-up emails. 7-day experiment. Make your queue visible to your team. Add new requests to the visible queue instead of saying yes immediately. Track how many follow-up emails you avoid. Common failure mode. People bypass the queue and email you directly. Fix. Reply with a link to the queue. Say, I added it to the queue at position 6. You can track progress there. If this is useful, subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. It helps more people find these audiobooks. Tool 3. The Information Capture System. What it is. A place to store notes, ideas, and information related to tasks in your waiting queue. When to use it. When you have ideas or information for tasks you are not actively working on yet. How it works. Each task in your waiting queue gets a note or card. When you think of something related to that task, you add it to the note. You do not try to hold it in your head. You do not start working on the task. You just capture the thought. When the task moves to your active queue, all the information is already there. Example. You are a product manager. You have a task in your waiting queue called competitor analysis. You read an article about a competitor. Instead of starting the analysis now, you add a link to the article to the competitor analysis note. 2 weeks later, when you pull that task into active work, you have 6 articles and 3 insights waiting for you. 7-day experiment. Add a notes field to each task in your waiting queue. Every time you think of something related to a waiting task, add it to the note instead of acting on it immediately. Track how much easier it is to start tasks when you finally pull them into active work. Common failure mode. You capture too much information and never review it. Fix. Keep notes short. Bullet points only. Review notes for 60 seconds before starting the task. Pull-based management controls what you work on. Multi-scale planning controls when and how you work on it. Most people plan at the wrong scale. They either plan too small or too big. They make daily to-do lists without thinking about the week. Or they make annual goals without connecting them to daily action. Multi-scale planning connects 3 time scales. Quarterly or seasonal goals. Weekly plans. Daily time blocks. Each scale informs the next. Your quarterly plan sets the direction. Your weekly plan translates that direction into concrete tasks. Your daily plan allocates specific hours to those tasks. This prevents 2 common problems. First, it stops you from wasting time on tasks that do not matter. If something is not connected to your quarterly goals, it does not belong in your weekly plan. Second, it stops you from feeling overwhelmed. You are not trying to hold your entire life in your head. You have a plan for the quarter, a plan for the week, and a plan for the day. Each plan is simple because it only covers one scale. Let me walk you through each scale. Tool 4, Quarterly Planning. What it is. A document that lists your big objectives for the next 3 months and reminds you what matters. When to use it. At the start of every quarter or season. How it works. Spend 90 minutes at the start of the quarter. Write down 2 to 4 big objectives. These are not tasks. These are outcomes. Examples: launch new product. Finish book draft. Build collaboration with X team. Below the objectives, write reminders to yourself. Examples: remember to say no to low-value meetings. Prioritize deep work over responsiveness. Protect weekends. Example: you are a researcher. Your quarterly objectives are: finish draft of paper on decision-making. Submit grant proposal. Build relationship with lab at University Y. Your reminders: do not accept conference invitations unless they directly support these objectives. Block mornings for writing. 7-day experiment. Write your quarterly plan this week. Just 2 to 4 objectives and 3 reminders. Refer to it when you plan your week. Track whether it helps you say no to distractions. Common failure mode. You write vague objectives like be more productive. Fix. Make objectives specific and measurable. Examples: write 15,000 words. Publish 3 articles. Launch beta version. Tool 5, Weekly Planning. What it is. A plan for the week that connects your quarterly objectives to your actual schedule. When to use it. At the start of every week. Sunday night or Monday morning. How it works. Look at your quarterly plan. Pick 1 or 2 objectives to advance this week. Look at your calendar. Identify where you have free time. Decide what you will work on during that free time. Make adjustments. Cancel meetings that do not serve your objectives. Protect blocks of time for deep work. Example: your quarterly objective is to finish a book draft. You look at your calendar. You have 3 mornings free this week. You decide to write during those mornings. You also see a meeting on Wednesday that is not essential. You cancel it. That frees up another 2 hours for writing. 7-day experiment. Plan your week every Sunday night. Look at your quarterly objectives. Look at your calendar. Decide what you will work on and when. Track whether you follow through. Common failure mode. You plan an unrealistic week and then feel guilty when you do not finish everything. Fix. Plan for 80% of your available time. Leave 20% as buffer for unexpected tasks. Tool 6, Daily Time Blocking. What it is. A plan for your day where every hour has a job. When to use it. Every morning before you start work. How it works. Look at your weekly plan. Look at your calendar. Draw blocks around every free hour. Assign each block a task. Be specific. Do not write work on project. Write draft introduction section for 2 hours. Include breaks. Include email time. Include meeting prep. If something changes during the day, redraw your blocks. Do not abandon the plan. Adjust it. Example: you have 4 free hours in the morning. You block 2 hours for writing. 1 hour for email and Slack. 1 hour for meeting prep. At 10 a.m., your boss asks you to review a document. You look at your blocks. You move email to the afternoon. You use that hour for the document review. 7-day experiment. Time block every day this week. Spend 10 minutes each morning planning your blocks. At the end of the day, check how closely you followed the plan. Track how much deep work you completed. Common failure mode. You treat time blocking as rigid and get frustrated when plans change. Fix. Expect to redraw blocks 2 to 3 times per day. The plan is not a prison. It is a GPS that recalculates when you take a detour. Midpoint Recap. Let me summarize where we are. You learn that your attention is not broken. You are trapped in a system that fragments focus. Pseudo-productivity rewards visible activity instead of deep work. Push-based collaboration drowns you in email and meetings. And context switching destroys your ability to think. You learned the deep work operating system. Layer 1 is pull-based workload management. You limit active work to 2 to 3 tasks. Everything else waits in a queue. This cuts administrative overhead by 80%. Layer 2 is multiscale planning. You plan at 3 scales. Quarterly objectives. Weekly plans. Daily time blocks. Each scale informs the next. This keeps you focused on what matters. If you only do one thing, do this. Set up an active queue with 3 tasks. Block 2 hours tomorrow morning for deep work on one of those tasks. Turn off email and Slack during that block. Just 2 hours. See what happens. Quick recap. And remember, the toolkit is there so you can revisit this without rewinding. Now let me show you the trade-offs. Because deep work is not free. It costs time and energy. And you need to know what you are giving up. Here is the truth. You cannot do everything. You have limited time. You have limited energy. And deep work is expensive. 2 hours of deep work is more cognitively draining than 4 hours of meetings. Your brain burns more glucose when you sustain focus. You feel tired afterward. This is normal. Deep work is metabolically expensive. So you have to make trade-offs. If you spend 2 hours on deep work in the morning, you might not have energy for creative work in the afternoon. You might need to schedule low-demand tasks like email or admin work after deep work sessions. You also have to trade off responsiveness. If you block 2 hours for deep work, you cannot check email during that time. People might wait for your reply. This is fine. But you need to set expectations. Tell your team when you will be unavailable. Give them a way to reach you for true emergencies. Another trade-off is social capital. If you say no to meetings, some people will be annoyed. If you do not reply to Slack immediately, some people will think you are not a team player. You have to decide whether you care more about their perception or your output. Let me give you the tools to manage these trade-offs. Tool 7, the energy budget. What it is. A realistic assessment of how much deep work you can do per day. When to use it. When you are planning your week. How it works. Most people can do 3 to 4 hours of deep work per day. Some can do 5. Almost nobody can sustain 6. Track your own capacity. Notice when your focus starts to fade. Schedule deep work during your high-energy windows. Schedule low-demand work during low-energy windows. Example. You notice you focus best from 8 a.m. to noon. After lunch, your focus drops. You block 8 a.m. to noon for writing. You schedule email, admin work, and meetings in the afternoon. 7-day experiment. Track your energy levels every hour for 1 week. Note when you feel sharp and when you feel foggy. Use this data to schedule deep work during high-energy windows. Common failure mode. You ignore your energy patterns and schedule deep work when you are tired. Fix. Respect your biology. If you are not a morning person, do not force yourself to do deep work at 7 a.m. Tool 8, the communication block. What it is. A scheduled block of time for email, Slack, and messages. When to use it. Every day. How it works. Do not check email or Slack outside your communication blocks. During your deep work blocks, email and Slack are closed. When you reach your communication block, process everything. Reply to emails. Respond to messages. Then close it again. This does 2 things. First, it protects your deep work time. Second, it batches communication. You process messages more efficiently when you do them all at once instead of one at a time throughout the day. Example. You schedule 2 communication blocks per day. 10 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Outside those times, email and Slack are closed. During deep work, you do not check messages. During communication blocks, you process everything. 7-day experiment. Schedule 2 30-minute communication blocks per day. Close email and Slack outside those times. Track how much more focus you have during deep work. Common failure mode. You check email just once outside your communication block. Then you check it again. Then the system collapses. Fix. If you must check email outside your block, set a timer for 5 minutes. Check email. Close it. Do not let one check turn into an hour of reactive work. Tool 9. The priority filter. What it is. A simple question you ask before saying yes to any new commitment. When to use it? Every time someone asks you to do something. How it works. Ask yourself, does this directly support one of my quarterly objectives? If yes, consider it. If no, decline or delegate. Example. Someone invites you to join a committee. You ask yourself, does this support my quarterly objectives? Your objectives are, finish book draft. Launch new course. Build partnership with X organization. The committee does not support any of these. You decline. 7-day experiment. Before saying yes to anything this week, ask the priority filter question. Track how many things you decline that you would have previously accepted. Common failure mode. You feel guilty saying no. Fix. Remember that every yes to something unimportant is a no to something important. You are not being selfish. You are being strategic. You do not need to overhaul your entire system overnight. You need to run small experiments. Test one change. Collect data. Adjust. This is how you build sustainable habits. You prototype. You do not commit to time blocking forever. You commit to time blocking for 7 days. You see what happens. If it works, you keep it. If it does not, you adjust. Prototyping removes the pressure of perfection. You are not trying to be a productivity robot. You are testing whether a tool improves your work. If it does not, you discard it. No guilt. Let me give you the prototyping tools. Tool 10, the 7-day test. What it is. A commitment to test one new tool or habit for 7 days. When to use it. When you want to try something new but you are not sure it will work. How it works. Pick one tool from this audiobook. Commit to using it every day for 7 days. At the end of 7 days, evaluate. Did it help? Did it reduce distraction? Did it increase deep work? If yes, keep it. If no, try something else. Example. You decide to test daily time blocking. You commit to time blocking every morning for 7 days. At the end of the week, you review. You completed 12 hours of deep work this week compared to 6 hours last week. You decide to keep time blocking. 7-day experiment. Pick one tool from this audiobook. Use it every day this week. At the end of the week, evaluate whether it worked. Common failure mode. You judge the tool after one bad day. Fix. Commit to the full 7 days. One bad day does not mean the tool does not work. It means you are learning how to use it. Tool 11, the adjustment log. What it is. A simple note where you track what is working and what is not. When to use it. At the end of each week. How it works. Spend 5 minutes every Sunday. Write down what went well this week. Write down what did not work. Write down one adjustment you will make next week. Example. You write, what went well, I completed 2 deep work blocks every morning. What did not work, I scheduled deep work after lunch and I was too tired. Adjustment, only schedule deep work in the morning. 7-day experiment. Start an adjustment log this week. At the end of the week, write what worked and what did not. Make one small adjustment for next week. Common failure mode. You try to fix everything at once. Fix. Make one adjustment per week. Let it stabilize before making another change. Tool 12, the constraint-based decision. What it is. A method for making decisions when you have limited time or energy. When to use it. When you are deciding whether to take on a new project or commitment. How it works. Ask yourself, how much time will this take per week? Do I have that time available after accounting for my current commitments? If no, decline. If yes, consider it. Example. Someone asks you to co-author a paper. You estimate it will take 5 hours per week for 3 months. You look at your schedule. You currently have 2 hours per week of free time. You do not have 5 hours. You decline. 7-day experiment. Before saying yes to anything this week, estimate the time cost. Check whether you actually have that time. Track how many commitments you avoid. Common failure mode. You underestimate how long things take. Fix. Double your initial estimate. If you think something will take 2 hours per week, assume it will take 4. The 7-day Rewire Plan and Checklist. You now have 12 tools. You do not need to use all 12. You need to use the right 3 for your situation. Here is the 7-day plan to get started. Each day builds on the last. Each day takes 15 to 30 minutes. By the end of the week, you will have a working system. Day 1. Set up your active queue. Limit it to 3 tasks. Move everything else to your waiting queue. Time cost, 15 minutes. Day 2. Write your quarterly plan. 2 to 4 objectives. 3 reminders. Time cost, 20 minutes. Day 3. Plan your week. Look at your quarterly objectives. Look at your calendar. Decide what you will work on and when. Time cost, 20 minutes. Day 4. Time block your day. Assign every hour a task. Include a communication block. Time cost, 10 minutes in the morning. Day 5. Test a 2-hour deep work block. Pick your highest priority task. Turn off email and Slack. Work for 2 hours. Time cost, 2 hours. Day 6. Review your energy patterns. Note when you felt focused and when you felt tired. Schedule deep work during high-energy windows. Time cost, 10 minutes. Day 7. Evaluate your week. What worked? What did not? Write down one adjustment for next week. Time cost, 10 minutes. This is the 2-minute version. Set up an active queue. Limit it to 3 tasks. Block 2 hours tomorrow for deep work on 1 task. Turn off email during that block. Track what happens. This is exactly what the toolkit is for. So keep listening now, then use the checklist later when you are at your desk. Let me give you the closing summary. Here is what you learned. Your attention is not broken. You are operating in a system that rewards visible activity over deep work. Push-based collaboration and pseudo-productivity fragment your focus every few minutes. The solution is not to work harder. The solution is to redesign your system. The deep work operating system has 3 layers. Pull-based workload management limits active work to 2 to 3 tasks. Multiscale planning aligns your daily actions with your quarterly goals. The shutdown ritual protects your recovery time. You learn 12 tools. The active queue. The shared queue. The information capture system. Quarterly planning. Weekly planning. Daily time blocking. The energy budget. The communication block. The priority filter. The 7-day test. The adjustment log. The constraint-based decision. Here is your next step. Pick one tool. Test it for 7 days. Start with the active queue or the 2-hour deep work block. Do not try to implement everything at once. Just test one thing. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell. And check out the free toolkit in the description so you do not have to take notes. And share this with one friend who is drowning in email and meetings and cannot find time to focus. Once they learn to protect their attention, they will stop feeling burned out and start producing work that actually matters.